Yes, people, we are back, and today we have got Jessica Weber Kass, right? And yeah, we're talking about her new short film, A Nice Lady. And we'll see if Jessica is a nice lady as well over the course of this conversation. Hey, Jessica, what up?
Hi, what up with you? Nice to see you, Kevin.
Hey, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that.
Of course, my pleasure.
Awesome. Yo, so man, like, you're an actor, producer, you've done a lot in the film industry, but this is the first thing you've directed. Is that correct?
Yes, this is the first film I've directed, correct.
Okay. So why now, Jessica? What was the thing that made you go, let me step behind the camera?
Well, I feel like I wanted to be in control, let's say, of more of the storytelling.
Mm,
And when I say more, I mean the complete picture,
yeah.
the larger picture. Set the mood, sort of create the world, and get to make the choices rather
Hmm.
than having the choices hoisted on
Yeah.
me.
I I I definitely know what you're talking about, right? Because I work in marketing and comms, and like at the beginning of your career, when you're like at assistant level, officer level, and so someone's like, "This is the campaign. This is what you're doing," and you're just thinking in your head, "Really? Right? We're we're going in this direction?" Do they not realize that we could be doing this and this and this? But you have to just like go with it, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes you'll bring things up in meetings and they're just like, no, this is what we're doing. So
They
you're like,
squelch it.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so you just have to go with it. So you're just like, okay, let me get to a point where I can steer the ship. You know what I mean? And
completely.
that there's a greater appreciation for them what you're doing, because you're looking at every facet of the operation, every nuance, and you're able to tweak it, but then have those conversations, be like, yo, how can we improve this, right? What do you think is the best way we can, what I mean, maneuver?
hmm hmm
And I think that's always interesting.
Yes. Yes, and one of the things that I learned in terms of what the director hat meant over being a writer or an actor or somewhere else, some other hat where it was more participatory and less big picture, there wasn't the same perspective, so that as the director, you can highlight the other people coming in, bringing
Mm,
in their special magic. So, as you were saying, where sometimes a higher up at times in your young life can squelch your idea,
yeah.
when you're directing, you can help promote
Yeah.
others in a way.
Mm. Now, do you think that you're, because it's always interesting, right? You have the people that from the jump are like, I want to be a director, I want to be a writer, I want to be this, or this. And then you have others who have the thought, maybe I want to do this, but think, okay, well, the best way in might be as a cinematographer. All right,
Mhm.
or I'll start off as an editor. And when you talk to them, there is a different kind of perspective of what this is. You know what I mean? And
That
I
makes
think,
sense.
yeah, for me, like coming up, right? Because you were dealing with managers who would kind of try and squash innovation, right? Squash creativity, or they would try and take credit for, what I mean, other people's ideas,
Mhm.
right? And you'd find out that, oh, they were saying in the meeting that they came up with this concept and campaign and all of this, and you're just, whoa, this is crazy. So it's just like once you get to a certain position, you can go, okay, what were the things that would frustrate me? right? What did I not like? What would I like to see? And you can implement that. You can create that foundation so things are more harmonious, right? Things are
Mm,
more open and giving, you know? Is that how
totally.
you kind of found like the kind of director you wanted to be?
Yes, yes. Like, that's a great question. I think that you got the correct word when you said harmonious, because as I was, you know, examining the story, thinking about how the design should be, going over storyboards, talking to set designers, and when I found our DP, it was very obvious to me because she had such a vision that was very similar to mine, but completely different. And I thought,
Mm,
wow, that's so incredible that she could bring that perspective to what I'm envisioning, and that, I get to have that person's talent that I didn't even, conceive of. So it's just going to add more to the vision that I came in with. So, as you said, it's less about taking and more about sharing and also receiving.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
was able to receive her vision and her idea and say, "That is awesome." And I get to have that now in my movie because she's bringing something to the story, or she's going to help propel the story, or she's going to help motivate, people that would, that are on the crew that would speak to her vision over mine. So I get to share the capability.
Mm,
So that added to everything and made for a more dynamic component. So yes.
yeah.
Yes,
No, I think that's always the key, right? Because you can have a thought of what something might be or the way to do something, but that doesn't mean it's the best way, right? Or the most
correct.
ideal approach or anything, right? So hearing someone else, right? Letting someone voice their opinion, give them, their view on something can open up so many new possibilities. And I always say to teams, right? Nothing is wrong, right? Always say what you're thinking, because even if it might not be the best approach, right? It might not work with this, what we're doing right here now. It can open up a conversation that can take us to a better place. You know what I mean?
Precisely. Yeah.
And I think that's always the thing, right? You don't want to stifle. Like now, sometimes people do say some stupidness, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I think when everyone is on the same page to create something incredible, then no one is trying to say something to, what I mean, derail, right? So let people give you some thoughts and stuff like that, because it can then just open up a door to that next level of expressiveness that you just didn't even think about, or you couldn't find your way to, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. I like that you said the opening up. It can open up the whole a variety of magic that you didn't know that was there,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, I watched a film the other day, another short film. Oh gosh, it was Les Tres Venus. Um,
Ooh.
is it translates to waltz for free, and
Okay.
I was talking to the director Ariana Ing, and because there was this scene in the film that was just so, because we were seeing these people dance, but they were off screen, and so we were seeing them dance in a mirror, and
Oh,
it was such an incredible shot.
wow.
It just worked so well for this situation, the beginning of this situation, you know what I mean? And so I had the opportunity to talk with her, and we're talking about that scene, and she's just
Mm.
like, "Oh, that was the DP's idea." right? Because we were looking at, we were looking at filming it, and the initial approach, something went wrong, so it wasn't going to work. And then the DP was just like, oh, why don't we do it like this?
That's I
And it's
love
just,
that.
yeah, and that's just, it's such a great example of being open to possibilities, right? Being open to ideas. And I think
Mm,
another thing, because she was just very happy to give everyone their flowers, right? Because some people want to go, that was all me. I came up with
mm,
that idea,
mhm.
right? Oh, I did that, right? And you didn't, right? So why
Yeah,
you trying
no,
to
what?
claim that you did? So it's always incredible when people are like, man, they're open to the ideas, and they're down with giving other people the credit for the work that they put in,
Completely, completely, and it makes it harder for those people to wanna work with you and bring their magic later on if, you know, if you're zapping their magic and claiming it as your own.
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at different situations, you look at people like Kevin Smith, Christopher Nolan, Adam Sandler, Joss Whedon, like they have people that they work with just on every single film,
Mhm.
right? So you can, like, you might like the films, not like the films, but you can just imagine that this must be a really, open room, a really receptive environment, because otherwise these people wouldn't be coming back
No.
to work. You know what I mean? And it's like multiple, it's not just one or two, right? It's like 10 or
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
films. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something to that, creating that kind of vibe.
I agree. We were just at last night, we went to the opening ceremony film, like, screening at, Smod Castle, where we're also showing our film,
Ah,
and, unfortunately and I don't know if you know, that's in Atlantic Highlands, it's Kevin Smith's,
yeah.
film festival, and so we got to, hear him speak last night, and and then a lot of his people were there too, and they were speaking on behalf of him, and everyone was consistently saying how supportive he is and how he lifts people up, and he's always looking for collaborators, and he's always looking to kind of make the soup tastier with different people's talents and allowing
Mm,
different talents. And it was great to hear all the love for him and what he brings into, exactly as you're saying, he edits, produces, directs, and he has this bevy of people, this army of people who say, oh my god, he was my mentor and now I'm working with him. And that made me smile. It was so great to hear.
mm. Yeah, no, what was it? It was an anniversary screening of, I think it was Clark's.
Hmm.
Yeah, over here at the Prince Charles, and I went to it, and he was there, and he gave, he did a Q&A and everything, and it was so, great to hear him talk, because you can hear him on he's done like Rogan, he's done, Burtcast, he's done, several like different podcasts and everything like that. So you get a sense of, right, but hearing him live is a
Mm.
different thing, and
Yeah,
very interesting.
and he's not a big guy anymore.
Mm,
He's become diminutive.
yeah.
He's slimmed down. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that heart attack definitely.
I didn't know. Oh,
Oh yeah, no, he had a
no.
like a widowmaker heart attack.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was. I think he died 2 or 3 times on the table.
Oh my
So
god.
he
No.
completely changed his life after that, and it's like,
Wow.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's impressive, man.
That's really impressive because one of the filmmakers was in the Q&A, he was saying, I see you're getting your steps in even on stage, because he was pacing, pacing, pacing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's thing. Like, do you, because I think you see it a lot in different fields and things like that. People
Mm.
have those, examples try to be like, right? So when you were thinking about directing, were there other directors that you were looking at and being like, I'd like to make a film like, their stuff, or, kind of in that style, have a voice similar to? Was there that for you?
That's a good question. I kept thinking of, I feel like Greta Gerwig, who is, contemporary,
Mm,
in terms of like age, and I really appreciate that she started off as an actor, and then a writer and directing her films. And I really like her sort of like voice of storytelling. And often it starts as like the internal to the external, or the external picture mimics the internal, but it's a lot of it is about a young woman processing life,
yeah.
and life occurring, and how to navigate. And that's
Mm,
very much within the directing and the storytelling, and the whole look of the film in general. And so I would definitely say she's top of mind these days. Um, and I love Jane Campion.
okay.
Um, and I always think of, I don't know why, I always think of The Piano.
Mm,
And it's an old movie by now, but it struck me even when I was a young girl, and just the depth of womanhood, and you know the sort of unraveling of, again, emotional internal emotion, and how it reads externally, and sort of quiet suffering that becomes loud, that becomes quiet again. That's
mm,
very
mm.
appealing to me.
Uh-huh. Like, do you find that kind of thing, like, it's kind of tricky in a way, right? Because I think you can look at things like depictions of autism, or like drunkenness and drug addiction, and it's always depicted in a certain way, right? So whenever it's shown maybe slightly differently, people are like, oh, I wasn't sure about that because they had you know what I mean? So when you're dealing with emotions and processing emotions, like, people can be like, oh, I mean, what was that? But is it's just like, oh, emotion should be seen as this, right? When it's just like, well, people process things completely differently.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So an emotion can be whatever,
Correct.
you know?
And it can read as whatever, and some emotions will read loudly, others not. And like you said, something something struck me in what you just said, that the idea that someone could watch a part of a movie and say, "Oh, I don't buy that that guy was drunk," or "I don't buy that he's depressed because I've been depressed and this is what I look like," or "My aunt's
Mm,
been depressed," or and that if it doesn't appear in a very set encasement, it just isn't true.
yeah.
And I agree. I don't think that. I think we are there's so many colors in everybody's emotional palette, and so many different looks to how how that is seen,
Mm,
you know.
yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. I think the one that always just gets me though is drunkenness and drugs. Because it's always just like, whoa, I'm so stoned, right? And it's just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know anyone that does that. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I
Nobody
mean?
walks around going like, I've had so much to drink. I feel woozy right now. Or yeah, I'm having a spectacular time. I'm on heavy drugs. I mean, that would be the worst dialogue. And,
I know, but it's done so many times, and
oh
you're just
God.
like, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. And I've been watching, I have a 11 and a half-year-old daughter. And so I watch a lot of these made for teens,
Ah,
tweens movies. And it is almost unbearably painful to the point where my husband and I just will laugh or we'll be like, why does oh, this is a dangerous moment. This girl is having a glass of wine and she's so tipsy. And and then our
and now
daughter
she's
will,
gonna jump in her car
yeah,
and drive.
right, right. And take all her friends with her. And they're all gonna drive and they're gonna end up getting into an accident and parents should worry. I mean,
From that one
it's
glass.
right, right. From that one, or even a sip.
Yep, yep, yep.
Like, oh, she's gonna put her finger in a glass and put it on her lips, and now life is just over.
Mm. But the other crazy one is how the minute, right, the alcohol passes the lips or the weed is inhaled, the
Right,
second suddenly now you're that thing, and you're just like,
right, right.
it doesn't act that fast.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we
Doesn't
doing?
well the I was just gonna say the thing that drives me crazy is when women go into labor in a
Yeah.
movie and all of a sudden their water breaks. It's like, no, no, that takes hours and hours and hours to happen. And it's like, oh
Mhm.
no, let's rush it. I hate movies that have anything to do with like labor and then childbirth. I find them so unbelievable. Unless you're in your third kid and like you're ignoring the early stages,
Yeah.
the kid's not just going to slip out on the way to the hospital. I mean, it just like it makes me nuts. I'm like, no, I can't. I have to fast forward this movie or
Mm. Well, the one that always baffles me, right, is when they're showing a couple, right, and they're like, Jessica, let's try for a kid, and you'll be like, okay, and then it's just like, it's been 2 days and you're not pregnant. Something
yeah,
must be wrong.
yeah,
And then the friends are like, oh my god, are you guys okay? It's been a week. And you're like,
yeah.
we might need to go to the doctor. And
Yes,
it's
we
just
might
like,
need to get a fertility clinic involved here.
and it's just like, people that have tried for 2 years
Yes,
before they
before any.
suddenly get pregnant. Like, it's
Thank you.
just this weird timeline that they throw at you.
It's ridiculous. 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 And then every woman in cinema is like, as she's having the baby, she's like, I'm gonna kill you. You're the most unsupportive spouse ever. You're a terrible partner. It's like, what? Uh, and that's comedy, right? That's a complete portrayal depiction of real life, and it's funny.
Hmm. Oh man, like what I thought was really interesting with your film
Mhm.
was the emotion, right? So how easy was getting that component of this right? And what kind of conversations did you have with the cast who gave
Mm,
tremendous performances, by the way?
thank you. I think so too. I I feel like got a dream cast first of all, and I spoke to each one of them individually after casting them and then as a group, but we didn't get a lot of rehearsal time. So
Mm,
I know that they were doing a lot of work themselves. In fact, our lead was away right before we filmed. And she and I did exactly as you and I are doing right now. We had never met in person. And we were doing some rehearsals online, and she was so excited to hear backstory. And I had started off by writing a feature of this and slimmed it down to a short, of which, I still am very invested in the feature script too. But I had a lot of information for my actors. So
Yeah.
I thought, am I overwhelming them with information? But no, I've been an actor, and the more backstory, the more richness.
Mm.
And so then when I was the other, the other two leads, when I was doing rehearsal with them, and I was going through story with them, they were so grateful. They were so excited to get backstory and idea, and then when it was time to flesh it out all together, they just were very um, interested into and absorbed with their character's emotionality. And we spoke a lot about emotion. And maybe because I've had an acting past, for me, direction is story, but then it's also emotion, and it's also asking them questions. How do you think your character feels in this moment? And then, of course, what are the motivations? What's the idea behind the story? How do we go from point A to point B, onward towards the end? But really, they were very connected, the three of them, beautifully connected.
Mm.
And they did a lot of like on set, when we were lighting or prepping, they would often, the three of them would be in a separate area, either talking to me and doing a quick rehearsal or doing their own rehearsals. So they were all very emotionally open in a way that was beautiful and supportive of one another. And it made it really wonderful to work with them.
Oh man, I feel, yeah, that's the way, because this is like those characters are very charged, right? So there needs to be this crazy amount of freeness
Hmm.
and, you know what I mean, openness there. So you need to feel comfortable, right? Like you can't be like, okay, what is what are they gonna
Okay.
think if I do this? And like, would it be okay if I put my arm there? Like, you know what I mean? You have to be free to express
Oh,
in
yes.
that moment. So the fact that they wanted to make it that good, that they all worked together, that must have been so great to see.
It was so rewarding, and I feel like they wanted to be so comfortable with each other that they felt that they could really, as you said, be free and play. And we had an intimacy coordinator
Mm,
on set, and I had never worked with an intimacy coordinator before. And at first I was like, oh, that might get in the way, because having someone there to kind of direct traffic during, a potentially romantic or tense moment might get in the way.
yeah,
But then this woman that we worked with was wonderful. She eased me up during the intimate scenes, and she eased them up. And she had conversations with all of us before and then on set. And we actually did meditations together, which was wonderful because everybody then relaxed even more.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was, one of the things that the intimacy coordinator had us do was close the set for those scenes.
Yeah.
And that was really key, because there weren't a lot of like, no gaffer around, no PAs. It was quiet, and it gave them a moment to. We did a lot of rehearsals for
Mm,
those more intimate scenes, and we did rehearsals in real time, right before we shot. And so, there was a lot of like, let me take a breath, then where will you put your hand? And it was a lot of like permission, but it was great because
yeah.
they felt safe.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's an interesting one because you don't show anything, right? It's but you still get the sense of this intimate moment between these people.
Mm.
So it's just like in filming it, like, what was that for? Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you've seen so many films with like
Mm,
really intimate moments, or
mm,
sometimes you'll be watching a film, right? It
mhm.
could be like a heist film, and they've just broken into a safe. And then suddenly you cut to a scene and the female lead's in the shower, and you're just like, and then it cuts to them having coffee later, and you're just like, wait, what was
You're like,
that?
wait, what was going on in between those
Yeah.
moments where the
Like,
camera was off?
yeah, why was that there? Like, what are we doing? So,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, having worked in the industry, you know, acted and just consumed films, right? So, when you wrote your script and you knew you had these scenes there, what was your thought, right? Because, you know, and especially as a, you know, a woman, right? I feel you're asked oftentimes to show more than a man.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when you're putting these things together, yeah, what is that for?
I think that that's for, as you said, to see those moments where you're not jumping from heist to shower to coffee. You're in those interim moments where these people are breathing together. They're existing together in the same space. Maybe they're not even dialoguing that much, but we're getting a shot on their eyes, or their breathing, or just the room, and maybe there's sound, but maybe there's barely any sound. And in those, I would say, in those moments is where story happens, at least for me, more often than it happens, with, okay, here's a bread box and here's some dialogue that,
Mm,
feels forced. It's just more sort of, it feels more like theater. It feels more like live theater where something's actually occurring in energy or charge. And so when you say that, you know, they're so emotionally charged, well, because one of the things that we really wanted to enhance was the charge that exists in the moments of reality.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. And then in framing those things, like, is there that thought of, you know, what is shown and what isn't shown? Or is it just what feels right
Mhm.
when you're editing kind of thing?
Yes. Yes. Um, I think also when we were editing, it definitely you know, there were multiple takes, obviously. So when we were editing, that was something else that we wanted to support or enhance. That we were
Mm,
finding the moments to foster that space in their interactions,
yeah.
so that the story was being told in those moments. So while we were editing, how much of that moment can exist where we don't have to splice here and splice there to create that moment? How many single shot scenes can we get in those moments where they're
Mm,
having intimate discussions, or a kiss, or a look? So that was very important to have those good, close, those sort of the masters, but also the nice close scenes where you don't have to interrupt the scene to get what you want in the edit. Does
yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. No, 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 that really does. Because, yeah, a lot of times it was those looks that told you so much, right?
Mm,
It's when Gwen first kind of meets Zeph and Hillary together,
mhm.
and you kind of see, like, she's talking to Zeph, and then Hillary comes, and you kind of see this look kind of thing, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was very interesting because we have the audio and visual memories superimposed within the film as well. So when we see like a flash towards the end of her in the gallery, and then, you know, the guy talking with the other woman and that kind of thing, you kind of,
Mhm.
and you can see like where insecurities and fears come from, right? So
You
that
got
was really
it. Ding
interesting.
ding.
Okay,
No,
so
no.
that was this. That's the thing. Like sometimes you watch things and you're like, oh, I wonder if they're saying this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you can never be sure unless you talk to, the creatives, because and I've said this so many times, right? It's like going to an art gallery and you can watch people, and it's especially funny when you can see it's a date, right? And you can see one of the people going to the other and being like, yeah, so obviously right now the artist is talking about their fragility in the emotional state around relationships, and the fear of, and you'll be like, I mean, I heard the artist talk about that piece the other day, and it's not that at all. Right? It's not that at all. What are
It's
you
not
doing?
what the yeah, yeah, yeah. Why are you making that up? That's completely false. No. I
So
mean,
yeah, so you kind
no,
of
no.
worry, like when you're talking about, when you're looking at things, and it's sometimes you say things in when you're reviewing, right? And you'd be like, oh yeah, and I love the scene when they did this because they're saying this, and then you're like, were they saying that? Right?
You're
Is that
like, wait, were they actually saying that? No, no, I mean, you're absolutely correct, is that the trauma of the past is enforcing Gwen's reality at the moment, and the insecurity. I
Mm,
mean, it's like a roadmap of insecurity.
yeah.
And Molly is such a talented actress that her face is like a roadmap.
Mm,
And for me, as I was working with her, and then as I was working with my editor, I was just like, wow, it's as if what I have here is showing up here in such a clear way
yeah.
that it was remarkable. And it was also wonderful to be able to work in such a way where I knew I'm going to give this direction and it is going to end up popping off off the screen. It's going to be so clear. And the intellectualizing, and you can see, for me at least, the other performers as well doing the same thing,
Mm,
where it was like you don't even need the dialogue a lot of the time, and um the complete vision for that scene just happens to be so clear. And the inherent insecurity that is so much a part of the character, that the character will, when the insecurity rises, that she is so impulsive that she will do stop at nothing to sort of uh um to sort of she will reject everything to
yeah.
discharge that insecurity,
Yes.
that
Well,
everything.
yeah, we see that,
Yeah.
right? Towards the
Mhm.
end when it's just like the eject button is pressed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it fit. There's, I don't know. I'm watching this and it looks like, right, that her creativity has been fused with like inappropriate situations, right? People taking advantage of her. So it's like, you know what I mean? Art has got a slight taint to it, hence why she's kind of stopped. Because all she can, because she hasn't processed those thoughts around her old teacher that was, you know, being a creep. So you have all of this. So then when she's like in this new situation, it's exhilarating, but then it feels like it's overwhelming, right? And
Mhm,
so it's just like,
mhm,
no, 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 no,
mhm.
no. I'm not, I'm not going back there, right? I'm not having that happen again,
Right.
you know? That's what when you're watching, I don't know, for me, that's what it kind of seemed like, which was like really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, where it's, "No, I'm not gonna have that happen again, and if that means that I'm going to hurt these people, these vulnerable people, in the way I was hurt, I'm going to reject them, or I'm going to manipulate them." It's almost like I need to do that to feed the wound, or to maybe
Mm,
try to close the wound. Um, but the other dimension is that she herself, at least with this grown man, this art teacher that, was enticing to her, where he was provoking what he wanted, where he was being, as you said, a creep, but then she was also very much, wait, I want this. No, I don't. Do
yeah.
I want this? So there's the balance of like, how much of it is her desire, or desire to be important. And then, if I fulfill this fantasy, where will it lead me? Will I get more
Mm,
opportunities with art? Will I be this, deeply seductive woman? And then all of the different voices in her that were pulling her in the many different directions. And
yeah.
and is this proper? Is this not? Like, do I want to do this? Yes, I do. No, I don't. So there were so many facets in the character that, you know, I just felt like she's not even clear what her next move is going to be.
Mm,
And then when she is clear, it's make it now, and don't pause, don't think, don't sort of hesitate, because you're going to get conquered if you do, or you're going to
yeah.
get used, or yeah.
Yeah. There's like when you think about it, right? I think a lot of times you are hit with those different voices, right? In
Oh yeah.
situations, but you just go, no, like
Yeah, yeah,
obviously I'm not doing that thing, right?
yeah.
But it can be like, oh, that's nice to hear, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is like if you're in, like you're in a happy situation, right? You're married, you've got a kid, all of this thing. But if a guy had approached you and been like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like you might think, "Well, that's nice to hear, but I'm
Yeah, yeah,
happy. I'm not
yeah.
interested, but it's nice to hear." Right?
Correct.
But then there's those other people that are like, "Let me ride this wave." You know what I'm saying? And that I think that's where it is. It's like the level of awareness, right? The level of restrictions that you put within yourself. And some people are just like, let's just see where this goes.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Let's just pretend that this other realm doesn't exist, and I'm like, I'm free. I can
Yeah.
do what I want to.
Mm,
That and that's where, right, that's where responsibility comes in, and holding oneself accountable. And I think you're correct. Is like, some people, when given the opportunities, don't know how to retract, don't know how to be mindful of, like, oh, wait, maybe that's not such a good idea, because it could hurt A, B, C, or it could, hurt me.
mm.
It could cause conflict in my life. No, it's not even, that awareness is cut off, whether that is a mental, disorder, or that is just, a desire to act impulsively. Who knows? But that's definitely there in that character for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is I think you see that when they're sitting down in the flat, right, and Zeph comes in, like you definitely see I think there's that initial moment when she looks at them kissing
Hmm.
and is kind of enthralled, is just
Hmm.
like, oh
Oh, look at that.
yeah, hmm. Because I think at first it's just like, oh, there's an awkwardness, but then it's just like, let's go with this, right? And then you see in Hillary at first, after she kisses Zeph, like what the fuck just happened? But then it just feels like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not mad.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And they just go with the flow, right? And I
Mhm.
think that was interesting in the balance of it all, right? In the pauses, in the movement, the motion. It wasn't just rush, 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 rush,
Yeah,
rush.
yeah, yeah,
It was those
yeah.
pauses. It's that deliberation, that thinking, those moments of thought before the action that I thought was so clear, just
Thank
within those
you.
spaces of like seconds, you know?
I mean, for me, that was a very delicate balance, and I wanted it to be almost dancerly. I wanted it to be almost choreographed, and we worked hard on that, because I wanted to find those moments where it's like, you as you said, you can see the thinking. It's like, "Huh? No. Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Okay." And then it's like, "We're gonna do this." And then, of course, when the viewer is watching, there's like, oh, there's going to be consequence here. But in that moment, it's like anything else you tumble into in life where you're like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. And then, you know, is it her responsibility to think of the outcome because she is a grown woman as opposed to these young people? Is it their so
mm,
then it became, for that dance, it's almost like a game of chess
yeah,
where whose move is it next? Whose responsibility is it to potentially pull back? Um, and in the original script, I had her pulling back and pulling away and deciding after, after the three of them kiss and then they're continuing, and I had her sort of get up and make a big deal of how um no, 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 this isn't right. The insecurity comes in and the worry. But then as I was editing it, I thought, well, what if we just keep going and then go into the next scene and we don't show her pulling back and we don't
mm,
show her sort of originally she was tripping over the couch and picking things up and running out of the room. And then it became about, well, what would happen if she gave in to her more baser instincts, and where does that leave us afterwards, and does it have more resonance than with the following scenes if she doesn't pull back?
yeah. Yes. I think you know, you get a sense that the character wouldn't pull back in the
Mhm.
initial, right? And it's like we'll run with this, but then the doubt comes in later.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you fooled around a couple of times, you know what I mean, a few more maybe, but it's like when you then see someone spending more time with someone else, right? Or they come into the room and they only hug the other person and not you, or they hug
Mhm.
them before they hug you. It's like
Mhm.
it's those are the things that you feel would trigger in Gwen the thoughts of repression. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm. You're getting into her psychology, right? Where, wait, am I being rejected here
Yeah.
after I gave so much? Am I being, sacrificed? Is someone else better than me? Yeah, completely.
Mm. Because it's like, in the discussions about the art later, right? Like that all makes sense. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, like we made you, and it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
you
Did you
didn't. Yeah.
though?
So it's like you're coming up against those, and I think it's interesting because it's like a nice lady, and it's those things of right. We want to put those tags on people,
Mhm.
right? Like you want to go, oh, that person is the epitome of this.
Mhm.
And I think Charles Barkley back in the day was just like don't hold me up to your kid as the idol. You should be the fucking idol,
Mm.
right? I'm just a sports person. I'm me. I shouldn't be the benchmark for, morality,
Yeah.
right? That's your responsibility. Don't
Don't
outsource,
yeah, don't outsource that.
you know?
I
And
love that.
and I think that's the thing, right? So it's just like that tag of a nice lady, be, just because, it's just like you have to leave, isn't you're a bad person,
No.
because it's just like, firstly, you didn't have all the information, right? Going in, there's definitely things that were not laid out,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of like, if you're protecting yourself, like, do you have to be nice? You know what I mean? So it's just like, I thought it's interesting because it's like, we have the title A Nice Lady, but it's just like, in the course of this, is Gwen a nice lady? She a bad lady, right? Just because different decisions, different scenarios, is that really the true reflection of who she is?
Mm,
You know?
mm. I love that you're getting that because that is the center core question. Can you be, why do you have to be called a nice lady, as opposed to a female person that wants to set a boundary or needs to set a boundary? Maybe
Mm,
that boundary is different than others' boundaries because you're more vulnerable. Or maybe, you have a propensity to get ensnared in a love triangle because you cannot resist an invitation to be the desired object, and then if you pull away, or if have experienced a negativity attached to that as a young person, then when you're engaging with younger people, are you then going to become, a demon or a
mm,
creep like the professor? Or, are you going to reject people because of your own fears? So I think this whole question, this core question of the nice lady, and in the title, I was thinking, well, ironically, she's not such a nice lady. What does a nice lady mean?
mm,
And the word lady, why do women have to be nice, or why do they have to be good or perfect? It's sort of this very I think core question for women in general. And or at least, for me, in my thinking of this character, and how to answer the question at large, and how to create a character that will stand up for themselves in a healthy way. Is this
yeah.
person standing up for herself in a healthy way? Well, there's a lot of things to witness in the film where it's obvious that she is not.
Mm,
But, you know, but then, how does that behavior resolve, or how does it not resolve and then rub off on these two young people?
yeah. That's the thing. And like, if you haven't been fully open yourself, how can you berate someone for a decision they then make?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
that's kind of on you, right? You didn't tell someone some stuff, some salient information. You know what I mean? Like, so, it's that thing. And I think we've all seen, like, when people get rejected, then suddenly, labels and slurs get thrown, right? Like
Mhm.
if someone's
Mhm.
trying to ask you out and be like, hey, pretty lady, do you want to come back to mine? And you say no, and now you're, you're a dyke, you're a whore, you're
Yeah.
all of these different things. And it's just like, oh, just because you said, I don't want to do a thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
now you're not nice, you're horrible, you're a bitch, you're all of these things, which is just like, is she though? Right? Just because she doesn't want to do a thing, right? But that's what happens.
Well,
So
you've unleashed the beast of their trauma, right?
yeah.
Like in that scenario, did their mom reject them? Were they not loved well enough? Or, who knows? It's a laundry list of
Mm,
why someone goes from, you know, being kind or nice, and then once they've sort of rejected someone else to being the whore or the, you know, any number of different horrendous words that you can think of
yeah.
that they become because they have said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we see it across the board, right? Whatever the gender, whatever, you
Oh,
know,
for sure.
you get those weird interactions where just because a person has disagreed, right? The crazy one, growing up was always, right? Like you have a disagreement with a friend, and then the first thing out of their mouth is a racial slur.
Mm.
And you're
Mhm.
like, wait, I just said I don't want to go play football. Right, and now I'm an N? Like, what the where did that come? You know what I mean? And it's just like, how long
Yeah.
have you been holding on to that, right? Like, what is happening? So it's it's that weird thing of you're fine, you're nice until you disagree with me.
Mhm. Mhm. Or you go up against me and don't give me what you want.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
which is, it's that interesting thing in the film that we see, and then we see a level of acceptance at the end, which is interesting, you know, like it's not a clear cut ending.
Mm-mm.
Like, was this always the ending? Like, of this, because as you said, you had the feature and then you took a snapshot. Like,
Correct,
was that
correct.
always the ending of the snapshot that you wanted to tell?
Absolutely, and the cutting off of the need for Hillary, and the finding that, Zephyr's dad is this man that she has known of in the art world, and then the treasure trove that's unleashed at the idea that this, handsome man-child could be her key, and then, trying to own him or ensnare him in this web because it's another impulsive decision. And then she thinks that she is going to get automatically repped by Zephyr's
Mm,
father, the art gallery, the art dealer, and that she's going to get repped by him, and that literally he's doing this as a favor for his son who he hasn't seen in a while.
mm,
And she is sort of on a high, on a manic high, and then she's been able to, get rid of this girl who wants to upstage her, again, another female component that wants to upstage her. And then she's got her victim, and where will it go next?
mm.
You know,
Yeah.
who knows?
Well,
Who knows? And the ambiguity is sort of like in the next 5 minutes it could all fall apart and he could walk out the door, or he could be hers for life, or who knows. And so the idea is, it's sort of the black widow spider. I've got you now, you're in my web.
Mm.
and now where can it go from here? And your guess is as good as mine, is as good as anyone's, that's something that leaves them guessing, is the idea.
Yeah, it was there was a film, I don't think it wasn't last year. I think it was 2 years ago. It
Mm.
may have been last year. I think it was 2 years ago though.
Okay.
Called May December.
Oh,
And
I remember. I never saw that film. But
okay,
tell me, because I must now. I must.
right, yeah, because it was based on that real story of the teacher and she slept with her student.
The Mary. I know the 17-year-old boy and the
Yeah.
34-year. Her name is Mary. I feel like.
Yes, because she died recently. Well,
Yes, and oh yeah,
2 years ago.
and she got out of jail. Didn't she married him, and then they.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
that was the crazy one. It was just
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like you thought it was probably done,
yeah.
right? But then they actually did get married, and so this film wasn't a biopic or anything, but it was kind of based around that situation.
Mm, mm.
And I think the thing, yes, because it was Todd Haynes directed it, and it's
Okay.
Natalie Portman, Sophie Mass, Christian Facon, Pamela Kofer, Grant S. Johnson, yeah, Will Farrell. Yeah, do they
I need
say?
to see. I remember
Mm.
hearing that Natalie Portman lauded in the role, that she did a wonderful
Yeah,
job.
like it was really interesting because you like they got together,
Mm,
but there was that kind of sense that maybe the guy, he's thinking that he has to be there, you know
mm,
because it's just like, well, she went to jail for me, and like, you know what I mean, like, but like I think you could see that he did love her, but
mm,
maybe now there's this doubt and fault and all of this there, right? And
mhm.
I think when you think of like Gwen and Zephyr, it's like there is that attraction, right? But it's kind of like I don't know. I was thinking like this cannot
Yeah.
end well because, especially, right? Is the dad going to rep you when he knows that you're with his son? Like he might be thinking that's weird. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there's all of
Yeah.
these kind of things that are there, or maybe he doesn't know at first, and then the minute he finds out, he might drop you, which and then could cause a spiral. There's just like all of these things there that was just like, oh, this is a minefield.
Yeah. A total minefield. I love that you got all of that out of that, and that you're thinking, what potentially will Zephyr's father think of this woman who's clearly older than his son, and then also, you know, that you're Zephyr and you're duty bound. Oh well,
Mm,
yeah. Not She didn't go to jail for me, but she, you know, I got her this, I have to be here for her. I got her this opportunity with my father, and I have to see how that turns out. And she's acting erratic, and then, how much of that is the longing, and I'm promoting her career. Maybe I'm gonna finally live up to what my father has done. So
yeah.
then they're duty bound to the father as well.
Mm. Do you
And
also think, hmm, Actually, I mean, I was gonna post something. I'm like, actually, you wrote it. You know
Yeah, yeah, go
exactly
ahead. Go
what
ahead.
it is. Like,
Yes. No, but I love to hear. I love your because got some fresh takes on it that are making me think of things. So go ahead, pose it
okay,
all.
okay, because I think he's fresh off the betrayal, right? Like he's just found out that information about Hillary. So it's kind of like this. I mean, this is toxic as fuck. I cannot
Yeah,
go there. This is grown, knowledgeable, mature. It feels like it's probably more stable, right? And then also, as you say, like my dad's this art dealer, artist. So it's kind of, showing him that I've reached that level, right? Like I
I'm a
can
big
take
boy.
the man. Yeah, I'm ready to take the mantle, as it were.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's what I kind of wondered about those
for
decisions.
sure.
You know?
For sure. I mean, you're right. He's fresh off the betrayal. He finds out she's literally a child. I mean, not much younger than him, but he could get in a lot of trouble were, were anyone to sort of pick into it and see that she's not over 18 as he thought she was. And she's under, by 5 months, as she says. But the fact that, he thought that she was 20, and then you're right, he's freshly betrayed by this child, and then he's turning to this woman, and he's like, well, I'm acting like the adult now. I'm helping a grown woman instead of helping a child. And so
Mm,
now I'm a man, and that'll appeal to my father, and I will take the mantle. I will be, I will inherit the crown, so to speak. So
mm,
that's definitely was in his head when at that moment, when deciding what to do. To
yeah.
go, do, and
Mm.
then,
But
and then
Zeph's
look her
24, isn't he?
yes, he's 24.
Yeah. Now,
Correct.
was that very conscious in the ages? Because she's early 30s, right? I think Gwen's early
Yeah.
30s. He's
She's
24.
yeah, and she's 34.
Yeah. So there's she's older, but it's not crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like Leo and his dates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know
There's no
what I mean?
it's not like, yeah, and what I mean, I think of, Al Pacino and
Yeah.
his I mean,
And De
whatever.
Niro.
Well, we can't even discuss that online.
You know what I mean? So that we have seen, I mean, look at Rupert Murdoch. Like
I
there's
mean,
there's those age gaps where you're like, wait, what?
yeah, wait, what do they even talk about?
Yeah, are you warming up their milk at night? Like, do you read them a story? Like, what's happening here? This is crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there, because it is that kind of, I think I've heard that the brain stops growing at 25.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
that's what I've
So
heard too as well.
yeah, so you're technically an adult, but you haven't, let's say, fully gestated, right? Hit that full maturity arc.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So it is that kind of thing of child, adult, adult, child. You know what I mean? But technically, you are an adult because you can vote, right? You can
yeah. You can
vote,
drink.
drink, you can drive, you can do all of these things. So are you really being taken advantage of? Aren't you at the point where you should be able to make your own decisions, right? You should
Mhm,
be
mhm.
able to govern yourself. So there is that. And I think when you place the age gap as you have, it does add that extra complexity to it. Because I think if she was, say, 44,
Hmm.
right, 54,
Hmm.
then you'd be like,
You'd be
right?
like,
Like,
this is clear. Writing's
yeah.
on the wall. Yeah, yeah.
So,
But
yeah, was the age gap being what it was a conscious thing?
very, very, very conscious. And the age gap to make Hillary not of any legal age
Yes.
was very conscious. And and at first there were moments where he was 26, and like as I was playing with the scripts, there were moments where Zephyr was 26, and excuse me, Hillary was as young as like 17, just turned 17, and
Yeah.
that felt uncomfortable for me as
Mm.
they were together. And then I had bumped up Gwen at one point to 36, and then I said, no, no, I'd rather keep. So yes, to answer your question, they were very consciously spaced out in a particular way that would make you go, just like you had done, Kevin. Like it would make you say, "Huh, well, they're not that far apart in age." But then when you were going to take 17 versus 34, then
Yeah.
that is when the age gap starts to go. Wait a second, huh?
Yeah.
You should know better, or you should be
Mhm.
able to, be the adult in the room versus the child. So having him kind of in the middle, not quite, felt he's still young enough, as you said, not a fully developed brain, but nearing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
yet
think
she could still like manipulate a bit.
yes. Oh, cool. Because I think that's the always the interesting thing, right? Because I don't know, like for me, when I was growing, like it was always that conscious thing of, okay, so I've seen how people act in this scenario. I've seen people do this, right? So I'm not doing those things, right?
Mhm,
I've
mhm.
just I've decided to be this person. You know what I mean? I'm not
Correct.
looking to cheat. I'm not looking to steal. I'm not looking to be shisty. I'm holding
I love that
myself.
word, shiesty.
Yeah, it's just like I'm holding myself here,
Yeah.
right? Because I wasn't a religious person, but I always thought do unto others as you wish done to you
Hmm.
is like the backbone of everything,
Of
right?
course.
Like if I don't want you to cheat me, why would I try and cheat you? You know what I mean? So I think, but but then you see people your same age doing all manner of craziness. So it's just like, you know what I mean? 24 isn't a unified 24.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? 25, 26, 20, even like 40, 50. Like you see people being all manner of ways at ages, right? But I think it's the person that you decide to be,
Mm.
you know, but there is
Absolutely.
still that malleableness to be influenced because, like, man, you would, I think early on, right, you believe everything. I don't know, like if someone tells you a thing, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
100%.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna be like, well, you know, like, hey, Jessica said she loves me, right? So why am I doubting that? Right? Why would I think that she's lying? Because she said the thing, right? But it's like as you get older, you then learn like actions speak louder than words, right?
Mhm,
I should be
mhm.
looking at more than just a statement, right? What's
And
backing up those words, right?
mhm,
Where's the framework? Where's the foundation of this thing? So it's just like that's what makes it really interesting having him as 24
mm,
because there's those different dynamics that are at play and her not being older but not crazy older, you have, you know, the emotional trauma that is obviously there. So you have those other things that are influencing her. So it is that kind of duality of where are they at, right? Where
Mhm.
is the mindset here, right? Who is the more mature, right? Who has the
Right.
more insight in these scenarios, in these situations?
Yes, correct, correct. And one of the things that I was thinking is you have 3 different stages of youth, right? That she is still young, but they are even younger. And,
Mm,
and sort of like how you are in one stage, so that one of the things I wanted to create was a sort of similarity, a magnetism between the 2 women, where one could say this is one type of woman in 2 different stages of
yeah,
her adulthood, and how she interacts with this, um, gentle man, because that was one of the conscious decisions in terms of him, that I wanted the 2 women to be have a wider emotional range in terms of good and bad,
mm,
light and dark, up and down, and that he would be more of a steady, like his purveyor of steadier emotions.
yeah,
Um, and not that he wasn't feeling deeply or that he wasn't experiencing deep emotion, but that it was more of a consistent emotional range.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very apparent
Oh,
in
good.
the argument, right? Because she goes straight to the "we made you, you can't do this," blah blah
Mm.
blah, and he's just like, "Oh, but don't you need us?" Kind of. He is like more
Yeah.
tempered and just like, "Oh no, what's happening here?" Kind of thing. And then he's just like, "I've got to stay, right? I've got
Yeah, I'm
like
a
it
good
wasn't,
guy.
yeah, it wasn't a how dare you do, there was
Yeah,
no
yeah.
temper being lost, no, you know what I mean? It was very centered, which was
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I thought that he was very clear on, when playing the role. He was like, I'm going to react in such a way that I'm like puzzled, or that I'm in real time trying to decipher how to be the good guy at all times
Mm,
regardless."
yeah.
And that for me was very apparent in how that was delivered as well.
Mm, mm. Because that is also another interesting component of humanity, right? Where you have the person who might not be a great person, but loves the perception of being a great person.
Mhm.
So in scenarios, it is that, okay, how should I respond here? Because I don't want to be seen as being an asshole, but I do want this outcome. But what's the best way to respond?
Mm.
Mm. Right. And it's very measured and thoughtful, but it doesn't actually mean they are that person.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's so much to kind of think
That's
about.
an interesting dichotomy right there.
Mm. Yeah. So we see this thing, we have this snapshot, but it's still what is beneath the surface,
Mhm.
right? Are they swans? You know what I mean? Like, like is that what this is underneath? It's all
Yeah,
frantic and like,
yeah, yeah. I love that. Are they swans? Are they just floating by looking beautiful, and then, underneath it all?
mm, yeah. Oh man. Like, I think when you see a story that has the complexity of this, it is
Mm.
very, right, like it's always a great thing to see, right? Because you often do see those things that feel very too simplistic. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, are they really gonna ride off into the
Into this.
sunset? Like, is this really all leading to a happy ending? Is it? You know what I mean? So when you see something that is very layered, it is very intriguing. and
Mm.
it is also, it's like, it's intriguing hearing about it, right? So like how it was framed and planned out, and the thought process that is behind it, because it is like, oh man, how does someone kind of develop something like this? So it's just
Mhm.
like, huh. Like it's kind of nice to know that there was so much care and thought behind it all, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. No, there totally was, and the ending was very hard to land in editing and in even shooting, and there were a million ways that I felt we could go, and a lot of, like, second guessing, and so, one of the things that I experienced in editing is, wow, this is sort of a proof of concept where, you know, this could go this way, this could go that way, and I kept thinking of the choose your own adventure type of endings in,
Yeah.
stories where, oh, wait, and then this leads to a series, or this leads to sort of a longer version, whether it be a feature or more examined, what have you, that it sort of, and then the story starts telling itself, well, what if we were to look at these people, in a week, in a month, in a
Mm,
year, how would that look? Would they still all know each other, or would it sort of makes it more interesting where, it's kind of like a do to be continued, and then, or, do not to be continued because
mm.
in 5 minutes he's gonna walk out the door, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think the big one would be, at what point would you let Hillary back into your life?
Mhm,
If you
mhm.
did, you know what I mean? Like, if, in 2 years' time, right? She's
Yeah,
now 20. And do you go, all right, we can meet up for a conversation?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or do you be like, I cannot, no, because you lied to me back then. So how can I
Mhm.
ever have faith in you going forward?
Right.
Right? Like, so there's those kind of things that are there. Like, if someone came to you, you know, and said, Jessica, we're interested in a nice lady, and our TV department have got ideas, our film department have got ideas, but what about you? Where would you like to go in? You know what I mean? Like, do you do a film? Do you do a TV, a multi-season TV show, a limited series TV show? Like, what have you thought about? Like,
Yes. Oh, yes. And it's sort of, again, I want to visit the, like, choose your own adventure. I've actually written um episodics based on it. I have written a feature. I have I have thought about, could it be um multi-seasonal, or is it a limited edition? And I mean, honestly, I do feel that it could be any one of those.
mm,
Specifically, I think that it would be more interesting to examine each person on their own with each other, and or then coming back together. And you had said, like, would she ever let Hillary back in her life? Oh, because she had lied to her. I don't think that Gwen would care about that in
mm,
who she is and how she conducts herself. I think that she would definitely have the perception that life is a long time, and you cannot necessarily hold people accountable to their things that they did in one stage of life.
yeah,
Although, you might have some trauma due to a past experience, such as with the teacher, and with, like, ill-suited people maybe, but with her experience with Hillary, I think there's a lot of love there too. So
mm,
I think this was one, I think another reason why I chose to end it in that ambiguous way is this is just one snapshot
yes,
of a moment. that will be continued. And there's no riding off into the sunset, no like neat little bow, no like, well, I love Zephyr now and you need to leave, or I'm going to be represented and then I'll get rid of you, when I meet your dad and I'll, maybe I will be with him romantically. I mean, I
Mm,
think there in this woman's mind there are many endings to this story.
yeah.
And I think that's where I went with sort of mimicking the ending that,
Mm,
that could be.
yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And now I'm like thinking, if it was a TV series, do you tell this kind of story from this point over a course of so many years?
Mm.
Or do you do like one season from Jessica's point of view, and then we go and hit that same time frame, but from Zephyr's point of view,
Mhm.
and then again from Hillary's point of view?
Mhm.
So it's like that same time period, but from these different perceptions. So it then unfolds all of this other stuff.
I like that, except you said Jessica's point of view, not Gwen's point of
Oh
view.
yes, right. Yeah, yeah. It's all
I
your
just
point
love
of
it.
view.
No. Exactly, exactly. But I love how I morphed into the character. That made me very excited. No, I think I like that. I like the idea of the different points of view because it was such a chess game that you got the different points of view, but told from one main perspective. But
Yeah.
then, like, yeah, were you to go into the past a little, into the future, or focus on the present and look into how is this person when they're alone, or how is this person with their mom, how is this person with, their dog. So it's sort of like the perspective of how they're different separately, how they're similar, and how they come together,
Mm.
in this unit. But yeah, I do like that different point of view prospect. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, it is so intriguing. So intriguing.
Thank you. I think so. Definitely. It's been a wild ride.
Oh man,
Definitely an
yeah,
intriguing ride.
I can imagine. Like, how long was the shoot in the end?
It was only 5 days. It was quite short.
Okay.
It was quite short. And it was 5 intense days,
Mm.
12 to whatever, 15-hour days and then overtime and overtime. But it was but there were no reshoots. There was no going back and even doing dialogue. It was all.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there were some voiceovers that we worked on after the fact, but not just those 5 days.
Mhm. Oh, when because we have those moments of the kind of like the flashbacks and the audio kind of emotional kind of flashback kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, was it clear from the outset where they would be, or did you play with that a lot in the editing process?
Um, so in the flashbacks, what we did play with was the child version of Gwen. We did, that was my daughter actually playing that role.
Mm.
And we definitely had to do some voiceover work for her in the flashbacks, but those were still within the 5 days.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
there wasn't, we did play around with the flashbacks and where we were putting them. And at one point we had more, at one point we had less. And so that's where a lot of our attention in the editing became, restructuring some of that.
Right. Ah. Oh man. So where do you go from here?
Well, I think after this, so I'm still, as I said, working on this as the proof of concept and where this story goes next. I'm also working on another script on a feature film, and we're looking forward to shooting that in late fall, early winter, early
Oh,
spring.
uh-huh.
So that's something that churning out at the moment. So that's very exciting.
Mm, yeah. Like, are there particular genres you are looking to kind of play in? Or, yeah, where does your storytelling sensibilities lie, would you say?
I would say psychodynamic, sort of romance examination of, I wouldn't say thrillers, but I did enjoy the aspects of this where it felt dangerous and high stakes.
Mm,
I'm definitely, as I'm writing, the new one I'm writing is more of a sort of like um, rom-com or coming of age dramedy, you could say, but definitely all the examinations of emotional life and how it reflects in actual existence and how it sort of informs behavior. It all, the those dynamics in writing really interest me.
mm. And you like the kind of realistic approach over like a hyper stylized kind of, you know what I mean, Hollywood style kind of romance and interaction kind of thing.
I mean, I love a good rom-com too and the Hollywood style kind of romance, but I think in examining what's behind that, I find more interesting. But I do love the whole, picture of like longing and is something requited or unrequited? And I am a definite romantic in terms of writing. Yes, I love it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love that.
Oh, that's
Definitely find that interesting and compelling.
yeah, I'm like, there are, you know, films that I really enjoy and things like I really did enjoy the first Bridget Jones,
I love.
but I couldn't stand the rest of them.
Oh, really?
I
What was your feeling around that?
I think there was times when it felt like the character didn't fit where we had the character at, right?
Mm,
It's kind of like because oh man, like everyone loved the Harry Potter books, and I read the because I used to work at a cinema, and I used to tell people like we should know a little bit about the films that we're showing. Like we don't necessarily have to know everything, but familiarize yourself with them.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so I was a bit like, I mean, I probably should read the first Harry Potter film because I'm telling people that, and so I read the first book, and I thought it's fine, but and then I'm kind of that person, like, once you start something, then it's just like, "All right, where's it going?" I have to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
finish it, right? So I was like, "Oh, god damn it, I've gotta read the rest of these now." And so I remember getting to, the yellow book one, the fat one, and
I think that was the third one,
is it
if
the
I
first?
remember Sorcerer's Stone or
No, that I think that's the first one, isn't
oh,
it?
now
Um,
I'm showing my lack of Harry Potter knowledge as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, it was but it was like, I think he was in hiding and he's being all like, "I'm gonna go outside," and I'm just like, would he really be saying this stuff, right? Because his friend, like people have been killed, right?
Yeah.
People have tried to have kidnapped them and tried to and done all of this stuff. So at this point, you understand the magnitude of the situation, right? Like if that was the second book, I kind of go, I get it. But at
Mhm.
this point, that doesn't necessarily make any sense. And so sometimes you get like those things within Bridget Jones, like, and especially in the last one,
Yes,
like
very contrived.
I didn't understand why she's hanging out with Daniel. Like that made no sense to me whatsoever. Like maybe you might be cordial to them, but
Mhm.
when they've done so many shitty things to you, it seemed odd.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
she's like a glutton for punishment. I feel like that character in general was like always a glutton for punishment, even in the beginning, even in the first one. And
Mm,
but you're right, like where is the arc in that? Like what how can if she began like that, if that was her status quo, then by the end, shouldn't she be a little bit more road weary at this point than to
yeah.
give him attention? Like,
Mm,
you know.
yeah. So there's those films, but I really enjoy like the realistic depiction of love and human interaction.
Mhm.
So like Linklaters before trilogy is just I love those films so much, right?
I know.
Those
Love.
are fantastic. There was this film In Search of a Midnight Kiss. It was
Oh,
black and white. Scoot McNairy was, I
that
think
name
that's
is I've definitely seen I've heard that.
yeah. That
Mm.
I loved that film. I thought that was
Mm.
great. And then you have things like oh, was it Me Before You? Or
Yes, that was another one. I think that was Me
yeah.
Before You. Yeah.
And so there's like these films, and I feel like the actual depiction of what human interaction is more even like when you look at Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind,
Mm.
because it is there is that fantasy sci-fi element to the film, but at its core, it's these two people that are trying to find that connection. And I
Mm.
just love the point at the end when they realize that they've gone through this process multiple times, that they're still kind of open to do it again because there
Mhm.
might be that one reality where it does work.
Yeah. I mean, that I love that the consistency of the pursuit and the how many times they fucked up and then they just kept going back and then this reality canceled that reality out and you're right, like can't we make it felt so the illustration of that struggle felt so real. It felt like these
Mm,
people have lived all of these experiences. They've lived 1,000 lives together and they can't in no iteration of it can they quite get the puzzle pieces to fit
yeah.
successfully. Yeah.
Yeah. So but then you have things like I love About Time. I think About Time is probably Richard Curtis's best thing he's done.
I have not seen About Time. I feel like
Oh,
I'm writing a list in my head of some of these movies. I'm like, oh,
oh
I
my
need to
god.
see this. I need to
Yeah.
see that.
About Time is tremendous. About
Mm.
Time is so good. And then last year we had We Live in Time, I think it's called,
Oh.
with Andrew Garfield and
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I know which movie you're talking about.
the oh god, she
Yes, I can see her, but I'm like that name is I feel like
oh
it's
my
almost correct. We
she
will
was in
live
Thunderbolts. Like how did ah
in time.
I can't think of her name. I feel so
Come
bad.
on, Kevin, squeeze it out.
Oh man. And she was really good in Oppenheimer. Like she's an
Oh,
incredible
oh,
actress.
yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, now you and I are both having no, it wasn't, not it wasn't, who's married to the guy from The Office? It wasn't Emily Blunt, no?
No,
Was it
no, no,
Emily
no,
Blunt? No, no,
no.
no, it was the other woman in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait a second,
She's the one that died in the end
yes,
because he was
she's
having an
much
affair with
younger." Yeah.
yeah.
What was her name?
But she dated Zach Braff.
Oh my gosh, now we're going back to Garden State, and I'm
Yeah.
from New Jersey originally.
Oh, for real. I I loved Garden State so
Oh,
much.
such a
That was
good
such
movie.
oh my god. There's even that, right? Not necessarily realistic. Like it was a slightly hyper realistic version of, but it was so good.
So good.
Oh my god, so good.
So good.
I'm
Jinx.
really right. I can't think of I'm so irritated. Let me try and work out who this
You're gonna kick yourself up. You're gonna be like, "Ah."
is. Florence Pugh.
Oh,
Jesus
yes. Oh my gosh.
Christ.
She
Good
is
damn it.
so good. She
Oh
is
my
so
God.
wonderful. She's so wonderful.
But she's great in the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm
But
saying
then,
she has such intense emotional resonance. She's just good in
yeah.
everything. And her face, she has that type of face like Molly Bernard in my film, like
Mm,
it's that face that maps things out for you in
yes.
such a delicious way.
Yeah, because then you have her in those serious roles like Oppenheimer, and she's
Mhm.
just like, oh my God,
Yeah,
so good, right?
so
And
good.
especially in Thunderbolts, where I didn't think it's a superhero film. I thought it was more an exploration of grief, and you know what I
Ooh,
mean?
that's a good take. Yeah.
Because it's like coming to terms with who I actually am and being okay with that.
Mhm.
Right? Because it was just like seeing like your sisters just died, right? You've seen all of these other people die. You've been through all of this stuff. You feel that you know what I mean? You're not really being looked at as a hero. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
America 4, like these are the heroes. You're just this, but you've done so much, but you're
Mhm.
not appreciated. So there was like all of this, and then it was like coming to terms with actually, no, I am good. I do this thing. Like this is who I am. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like I don't need to run from it. I don't need to hide from it.
And
Like
I can still be under the mantle of like a good person
mm,
in all these different settings.
yeah. Like it doesn't have to be black and white. You have that
Mm-mm.
gray area. I'm happy. I can be in the gray area,
Mhm.
right? Because the gray area is real. And I thought that kind of was what Thunderbolts felt like to me, rather than this big superhero film. I thought it was
Yeah.
this interesting look at the aftermath of and how that imprinted on these people, you
Yeah.
know?
Entirely, and how much richness that can have even in the landscape it was in. I mean, it
Mm, yeah. But yeah, no, she is fantastic in We Live in Time.
mm,
That's a
okay.
really nice film.
I will see it, I promise.
Oh man. I and about seeing things, how can people see a nice lady?
Well, people can go to the Chain Film Festival in Manhattan tomorrow night on August 9th at 7 p.m. And we are also at the Smod Castle Film Festival on the 9th at 5 p.m. But then we are also at the Lake County Film Festival and we are at the Riverbend Film Festival. Riverbend is in Indiana and Lake County is in Illinois.
Okay.
And
Are they in August or are they
they are in August 28th for Riverbend, I believe. Or actually, I'm sorry, the film festival starts August 28th, but it's ours is shown August 30th in Riverbend, and Lake County is early September, but that schedule is still being posted. But all of the information will be on our Instagram account. Is a nice lady underscore. Let me get you the exact. I'm very bad at the social handles, but I will tell you.
I think it's a nice lady underscore film.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. And at a nice lady underscore film. And you can also find me at Pesticups Films, which is spelled at Pesticups Films on Instagram.
Uh-huh. Okay. People, make sure that you go and follow those because man, this was such an interesting kind of exploration of like human emotion, You know, it is
Thank
so
you.
captivating, like just watching these people navigate this moment in time. So yeah, I think it's going to resonate. I think people are going to enjoy the heck out of this for sure.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. It was wonderful to make. It was really wonderful.
Ah, that's good because we want to see more. We
Yay, and
definitely
you will.
will.
You definitely will. For sure.
Tremendous. Well, when you have a new project, hopefully you will come by for another conversation.
You got it. Anytime. I've had such a wonderful talk with you, Kevin. I've loved being in the echo chamber. I feel like we've echoed in the chamber together.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Fantastic. Well, people, make sure you go follow Jessica and a nice lady on the socials. And yeah, mark those dates in your calendar so you can go and see the film. All the links will be on the website. So yeah, there's no excuses, people. None at all.
Nope.
Right. Jessica, you have been fantastic. Thank you
Oh,
so much
thank
for
you.
your time. Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, my pleasure, Kevin. Thank you so much. I loved being on it. Thank you for having me.
No worries. I hope tomorrow goes very well for you. Have a great
Thank
time.
you.
Will you be doing Q&As at all the
Yeah,
festival dates coming up?
for sure. For sure. Very excited to do.
Ah, fantastic. So
Looking
yeah.
forward to the questions they'll throw our way.
Yeah, think of good ones, people. There's nothing worse than a Q&A if someone comes up and asks something really dumb. Or I always hate it when people have ask a question that has already been answered within another question. It's just like,
Oh,
were you not listening? Like
the
they
worst. Yeah.
said what that was.
Bad etiquette.
So don't be that person, people.
Don't
Good
be.
questions. Otherwise, Jessica won't be a nice lady. All
Nope.
right.
Very mean.
Oh man.
Oh, so
Oh
funny.
gosh. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
great rest
Kevin.
of your day, okay?
You too.
Bye.
Bye.